Jay Dizzle, what is up?
Trey Dawson.
Man, I was looking at AOI today, and dude, you are always there. Like, I'm gonna put you out there, dude. You have had some solid couple last events. Like you have just started out, I would say from mid last year till now, you have just figured something out where you are just becoming consistently more consistent. Like you are putting up limits, uh, and you usually do it early. Like you get on it early. I don't know, man. I've seen something shift in you, bro. Like I don't know what it is. I know you don't take you just seem never to take compliments well. I don't know why, but I have. I honestly have, man. I'm not sitting here just pissing on your leg and tell you it's raining. You've been showing out, bro.
Well, man, I appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. I would say that this is probably my better year compared to the last as far as so far, but it seems like last year I didn't start very well, but I finished decent. And this year I started well, and hopefully I can stick to the same average. But, the guy that we're bringing on tonight.
Hold on. And I think that more that this year is about to play out with the getting into summer and getting hotter, you excelling in the forward facing. I feel like you can really come along right now when other guys aren't able to catch him as far as beating the bank. You can get a little bit deep and actually catch some fish.
What's funny, though, is like at Lake of the Ozarks, I fished shallow. I started flipping docks. I didn't – the live scope thing didn't play out for me. Where did we go? Mark Twain. I cranked the bank. I didn't – it wasn't like live scope, I think, helps with some of that stuff, but it's not like I was jigging a minnow at Table Rock, where even that didn't play out, and I think, based on watching Micah's video, and we'll talk to him tonight, but I mean, he was cranking a bank, and maybe I should have been cranking a bank too, but I appreciate that, man. Yeah, hopefully it stays consistent the rest of the year. It's kind of nerve-wracking sitting up that high in points, but it's still early. Still got a lot of time. So realistically, if we got 7 events, we've already had 3. How cool would it be to drop Table Rock and Mark Twain? Like that would be really cool. Being my 2 drops. But enough about me. Enough about that. But let's talk to Micah, Mr. 98 inches, and I cannot wait to give this guy a hard time because I talked to him at check-in. I was like, how'd you do? He's like, I did okay. And then, I asked how Spencer. I like Spencer. Spencer's up in Camdenton. He comes by the shop quite a bit. He's part of the Eco Pro staff for field team. And I said, how'd Spencer do? He goes, why are you worried about that? And I said, no, I want to know how Spencer did. You know how Spencer. I haven't seen him yet, so. But here he is, Mr. 98 inches. I did all right.
Mr. Flatside himself.
Yeah, I was playing it down for sure. But I couldn't submit anything till I got off the water, so there's already no one was expecting anything anyways, and I was running side quests.
Why couldn't you submit anything till you got off the water?
I didn't have reception.
Where was that? What's?
There's this ramp that goes into the water. I launched there, and then I had to get out. So, I mean, if you watch the video, it's not that hard. But I'm not gonna lay it out there for everybody.
No, I think that's something that's special. That's pretty cool about you. Is you typically always try to find these far off. Every time I've met you at a ramp, you've always told me I'm making a long run. Like you try to you get out of there. You run pretty far. So there's something to that.
Yeah, I don't like fishing in crowds typically. And not necessarily because I don't like fishing around people. I mean, there can be drama with that, but I'm a big pattern guy. I kind of fish more like I'm in a bass boat. And so, like, if I find something early, like, chunk rock on a secondary point with a crankbait or whatever, I'm just going to start running. And I don't want to see kayaks on every secondary point, screwing up my runs, basically, or bass boats for that matter. So I like to try to find something on my own and then just be able to run it, not have to like step on people's toes to do it.
So not even getting away from kayaks, you're also attempting to try to get away from boats at this point.
Ideally, I mean, a lot of times it's not possible, but I mean, mid lakes are usually really busy with kayaks and boats. Yeah, it just depends on the lake, but I usually don't fish in the mid lake on any of the lakes. They're just super popular and pressured, and I don't really care for that as much. I don't really run up rivers very often either. This Table Rock event was probably the first MOYAK event, Elite Series event that I ran up a river since my first year when I ran up the Pommy. Yeah, I don't like doing that either. So it's that's generally what people do to get away from people is go up rivers. But as you guys know, the Pommy River in MOYAK is not that type of river. It's one of the worst kept secrets in MOYAK. So
Worst kept secrets.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Micah, the last time you were on here, we talked about how you pre-fish, and I really want you to kind of explain how you do that again, because I think it's good for people that have been in the club for a long time. I think it's good for new people. But you talked about how you typically look for a practice area that has a bunch of different stuff that's relatable to that lake. Like you're looking for smaller sections that have different stuff. That way you can quickly try that stuff. So kind of explain that, but also explain or talk about Friday, because I saw you at Kimberling City and you were just fun fishing out there. But obviously your practice went well enough to go back to the spot here that you fished on Saturday. But kind of talk about that, man.
Well, in the first point, I mean, like I said before, I'm kind of a pattern person. And so, and even in pre-fishing, I mean, I'll get to this in the tournament talks or whatever, but what I found Friday before Table Rock was not at all what I worked on Saturday. And so a lot of times the morning of the tournament, you have to kind of, or at least for me, I have to kind of figure out how the fish are positioning and what their temperament is and different patterns that way. And so a lot of the places I go to, I've been to once before. I think this is my 4th year doing kayak stuff. And so I've got, at least 2 areas on each lake that I'm familiar with, but I'm not like someone that's fished every arm, So I'll go to a place that I have at least minor history with and pick usually a smaller pocket, like not a pocket that is 100 feet deep, like something a little bigger, but not like a major creek arm, something with a lot of variety, like different kinds of rock, like a defined point, maybe like a flat. If there's a secondary point in it, maybe there's a dock, something with some wood around it. Like if I could get check off every box of every kind of structure, every kind of bank in a small-ish area, I feel like I can find something that'll work in there. And maybe I catch 1 or 2 fish in it and run to the next few pockets and it doesn't work. That happens. But oftentimes it repeats itself, at least on these Ozark lakes anyways. And so that's usually how I start tournament mornings. On this particular event at Table Rock, I did pre-fish. After watching you guys' podcast or whatever, the pre-fishing one where you had the guide on here, I really wanted to fish the lower end, because on Table Rock, the lower end, primarily like the Indian Point / dam area. I really enjoy fishing over there, but I also enjoy fishing up the river where I fished at this tournament. It's kind of two polar opposites, and I just choose between the conditions and the time of year and stuff. And so I heard that podcast, and I really wanted to chase smallies in this tournament, but figured out that the water was just clearer than I wanted it to be. And if the water is really clear and the conditions are not perfect, like it's not windy or cloudy or whatever, and especially if you don't have scope, you can get stuck fishing the lower end and not be able to find. I don't fish deep, so you're not be able to find shallow fish. And I didn't want to be in that situation. It was kind of risky, so I decided to pre-fish up the river and just started throwing baits. Went to the area I usually start, and there was just carp spawn everywhere, like just thrashing every green thing in the water, every stick in the water, just big old carp just tearing it up. And so I ended up going to an area I don't usually start in and just started throwing stuff, and I was just catching them. Most of my fish were on, all my fish were on moving baits, mostly buzz bait and swim jig. Caught a couple on a crankbait, shook a bunch off flipping. They were just all on like shallow wood on flats. Like some of these flats I would get as shallow as my kayak would go and then cast, and I wouldn't even hit the bank. That's how shallow it was. And the fish were up there. And I think they were kind of keying on shad spawn stuff that was kind of already done for the morning, but they were still like in those areas. And then the tournament they weren't. So I tried fishing shad spawn in the morning, and it wasn't really happening. And they ended up being on deeper banks. Because I caught about 90 inches in pre-fishing, just kind of, just trying out stuff, not really fishing hard. I think that part of the lake just happened to be on this weekend. It's never been on like that before. I don't know if it'll ever be on like that again. I'll definitely be going back to try though. But
so one thing you had mentioned, one thing you shared some stuff with me before. I think you're somebody good to kind of bounce things off of because you know a lot. And I said you've been doing this 4 years, and I've been doing this 4 years, but you seem to have this kind of instinct about you. It's a lot different. A lot of people learn how to bass fish. You seem to have this kind of instinct. But one thing you said that was really cool, and something I've really thought about recently is when you do practice, how you don't focus on finesse baits when you practice. How that you feel as if that's a waste of time. And that just resonated with me, man. It made so much sense. Like, why would I go out there and the first thing just start picking stuff apart with a wacky or a drop shot or something like that? Like, them aren't yes, do they catch fish? Yes. Do they pull you out of binds? Absolutely. Can you catch big fish on them and people do it all the time? Yes. But covering water and just trying to locate these fish or eliminating water. So, yeah, have you always done that? Is that something that just kind of was like a aha moment? Did somebody tell you that, or what was your thought process on that, on not practicing finesse?
I mean, I'm still learning what I like to do and what I don't. And I think if I remember right in that conversation, I had mentioned like the All-American this year, how rough it was. You didn't really have a choice but to pre-fish with finesse, or slow down at least. Like there's exceptions, but I'm not sure. I know that I went through at least a year of kayak fishing where I pre-fished and just burned fish like crazy. And then showed up the next morning and wasn't really catching anything. And, I was catching them out of the exact spots that I planned on fishing the next day and had to like learn that lesson the hard way. And I would just pick them apart with wackies and shaky heads and jigs and just catch everything. I just didn't really understand. And so now I kind of have a general understanding of the area I'm fishing and just hit some spots, maybe not my best spots, but hit some spots here and there with moving baits. And even if I catch a 12-incher or whatever, it tells me that there's life there. That's important. Like seeing the bank, seeing if there's bluegill up there or shad up there, depending on the time of year. If there are, there's going to be bass. And so just blazing through, burning battery, like getting your eyes on that kind of stuff, just to see where there's life. I think that applies in all parts of the lake. But it's kind of a hard balance because I feel like pre-fishing is just as much about figuring out what not to do or where not to be as it is what to do and where to be.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to resist ripping lips when you find them. I was at Kimberling for that reason. Like I found them and I wasn't really trying and caught 90 inches and left. And I knew of a spot at Kimberling I could just rip up on spotted bass. And I just went out there and just did that for the rest of the afternoon to get my fix. And then, called it a day.
I watched your video the other day, Micah, and it's fun getting to see somebody with that new Garmin Force Current motor. That was fun to watch. I know that's a little bit of a learning curve, but watching you spin around while you're trying to land a fish. Do you recommend that to people? Do you I know it was new to you, but I talked to Trey or Trevor, before Truman, and he bought that motor and bought a different kayak all before that set up, and I was like, you're crazy. But does that pre-fishing help that stuff kind of for you, getting used to new stuff for you?
It did this time. The first 30 minutes or hour of pre-fishing, I was just like not going anywhere fast, just trying to figure out stuff. And it's still a learning curve. Like I haven't been out of the water since, Saturday and probably won't for the next week or two. But yeah, the video wasn't exactly like a advertisement for Garmin motors. But I did explain in it that it was my second day out there. And it's an intricate device, intricate machine that has a learning curve, but I definitely feel like it'll benefit me eventually once I figure it out.
Yeah.
How many rods do you take with you on game day?
8 or less.
8 or less.
Yeah. I pretty much always have chatterbait, more than one kind of crankbait, usually like 2 kinds of crankbaits and a wacky, and then everything else is kind of, dependent on conditions and where I'm at and stuff. But in pre-fishing, I don't really throw wackies. I throw more topwaters in pre-fishing than I do in tournaments. I don't really throw topwaters in tournaments because I feel like they're a waste of time most of the time. I know a lot of people have confidence in them, but I've burned so many mornings just trying to see if there was a topwater bite where I could catch those fish on a square bill or a chatterbait or a spinnerbait just as easy or easier in most cases.
I've always thought that, man. I think that is a great point. Like I'm running down a bank and I'm throwing a buzzbait. And I'm like, okay, and I go down this whole bank and I'm not catching nothing, but dude runs behind me and runs down the bank throwing a crankbait and he catches them. So if they're not eating a buzzbait, they're going to eat a crankbait regardless. They're going to eat something that's in the water. If they're eating both, they're going to eat both. They're going to eat that. But you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I think that's a great point that you made. You could probably, let's say, it a little bit better than I can, but I've thought about it. Like,
I feel like it's more consistent. Like when they're on the top water, like a Chapo or a buzzbait or whatever, you can't beat it. Like you can cover so much water and the big ones are just on it. That's what it was for Friday with me. I was throwing it at like noon and just getting 17 to 20 inches on it in the sun. Like, you just can't beat that. But then how many times is that going to happen?
Well,
Like,
them
it's
same
not-
fish that are eating that buzzbait would eat probably a chatterbait too. But them same fish may not eat a buzzbait, but still would eat something in the water.
I think that's true a lot of the time, yeah. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But you can just be a little bit more efficient with the top water if it's actually on. But I cut my losses with it and just accept that it's not going to be on pretty much every time and just throw, some subsurface moving bait.
Awesome.
Micah, what was it like for you just starting out in kayak tournaments? Like, was it like you've been fishing tournaments like out of a bass boat before, or you were just fishing for fun, or like, what was it like when you first got into it? Like, or how did you get into it, I guess?
I've been in a bass boat once, and it was last year. It's a whole thing, but I was on Bull Shoals with my brother, and I got to use live scope all day. Like, figured out what that was all like, and it was just a day. But before that, no. I grew up fishing, bank fishing, not really targeting bass very much. When we went to farm ponds, we would, but more like white bass and crappie and trout. I did a lot of fly fishing. I enjoy fly fishing. It definitely influenced my kayak bass fishing when I started, because I was all spinning rods, all 6 and 8 pound test, all finesse, basically. And just like feeling 20-pound tests felt like it was a rope, like, how could anyone fish with this kind of thing? And I'm working towards that. 17 is the highest that I use, but yeah. And then I started kayak fishing. Stockton was actually my first event. I started like mid-season one year and got a quick limit on a whopper plopper and ended up getting like 4th or 5th place in my first event. And I was like, man, this is easy. Like, what are these guys doing? And then I think I got a big bass at the next event at Norfolk, and then didn't get a check for, I don't know, a while after that. Came back to earth, I guess. That was back when the Chapo, was killer. But yeah, I guess I tasted some early success, and that kind of got me hooked. But I always felt like I was good at fishing. I just, bass fishing was relatively new, and especially on lakes. I didn't really ever fish lakes. Like, I'd fish Stockton growing up, but it was always like Greenfield and upstream, or Aldrich and upstream for the white bass run. Or like Blunk, on the James for the white bass and the spoonbill and stuff. So I'm not, yeah. But yeah, lake fishing for bass was something that was new to me when I got a kayak.
What's your biggest fish out of a kayak?
8.7 pound bass. Biggest fish would probably be, I don't know. I don't really weigh much. That carp I caught at Table Rock was pretty big last year. That won the trash pot with.
Yeah.
It was like over 30 inches probably on a Fritzside 5 and 8 pound test. Yeah. Hooked it in the fin. Took me 47 minutes to land it. Caught some catfish. I don't know. I haven't really caught anything like sometimes guys will post on the page and it'll be like some 30-pound flathead or something. Like, I haven't caught anything like that.
So what's your goal? Let me ask you, JD. What's your goal for kayak fishing? Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? Like, what do you want to go? Do you want to take it out of Missouri? Do you want to do more on the Bassmaster? Like, is this just something that you do as far as your wellness? Just kind of just something you enjoy to do just for fun? What's the mean, you're good at it. Amazing at it. So, like, do you have any ambitions as far as like where you're going with it, or is it just taking it day by day?
I don't know if I have any like long-term goals. I have like a competitive itch that I need to scratch, I guess is the best way to put it. I did like competitive disc golf for 7 years before I jumped into kayaking. So I did like disc golf tournaments and stuff, and this is kind of the next thing on that. I enjoy a lot more of this. It's a lot less stressful than competitive disc golf. Yeah, a lot more relaxing. I do plan on doing more Bassmaster. I did a couple events this year for Bassmaster and just didn't do very well, just for various reasons. And I mean, I did well last year at my first Bassmaster. I got third at 10 Killer, and got to go to the championship this spring. And I didn't even enter the Bass Nation thing for Table Rock because I was like, I don't want to go to the East Coast to fish a Scoper Lake in October with every other tournament that we have in October, you know?
Yeah.
Like if it was literally any other lake, even if it's on the East Coast, I mean, maybe not any other lake, but I was kind of bummed to see the results of that, especially after rumors of Table Rock. But
Yeah.
I would have won that thing by like 12 inches. I don't know, the Bass Nation thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wouldn't have gone. So
You ever shot a 9-under in disc golf?
yeah,
Dang.
it's a lot easier than in golf.
What's your best score on tough course?
Well, a tough course, it varies a lot. I mean, they have a weird thing in disc golf where they have ratings based off of your score in relation to difficulty and par, and it also weighs in like your how impressive your score is in relation to the competition and how they fielded for the day. And so you get like a rating that you carry around all your tournaments, and so all the rounds are rated by a rating, and that tells you how good it was. So it's kind of hard to like.
What's your best accomplishment in disc golf?
I think my best one is probably I got third at an A tier. They have different levels of disc golf. An A tier, I guess, would probably be the equivalent of a MOYAK Elite Series event, I guess you would say. Okay. So I got third in one of those one time. But I'm better at fishing than I was at that. And it's less stressful. So it's a win-win on that.
I want to dive into this frit side bait. I know that like Richie, Troy, those guys, you know, they've done well on it early in the year. You know, at Lake of the Ozarks, different places like that. What is it about that bait for you?
Just catches them. I mean, for me, I generally put it up about this time of year. For me, it's like a really subtle crankbait. Like it's almost in the realm of like a Kitech, but on the bottom, a lot more efficient than a Kitech. Like post front in the spring, it's hard to beat. The particular one I was throwing this weekend was the Biggin version in like the HD bluegill. I mostly threw that because I knew the big ones were eating, and the bluegill spawn was happening, or at least trying to. There are a lot of bluegill in the pockets and stuff. And for some reason, I was getting bit more on like bluegill colored baits than I was on shad spawn colored baits, even when I was like fishing the shad spawn, which is kind of weird. And so pretty much all my baits were green pumpkin or some variation of that on tournament day. But yeah, I I usually put it up around this time of year and get more aggressive baits out. Like I like the Rapala Rocco in the summertime, and like the Lucky Craft 1.5. I kind of like those. They're a little bit more snag resistant, and you can burn them a little better. The Fritz side has a tendency to blow out when you're, especially the big one, whenever you're real fast. And I mean, I like to fish baits either faster than they were intended to or slower than they were intended to. And so the Fritz side, once the water warms up, doesn't really work as well for me. Did this weekend though.
Yeah, it did. Yes, it did. What about you, JD? What's your favorite crankbait?
Man, it's tough to beat a rock crawler.
All year?
Yeah, probably. Like that's probably my go-to. They are now making a 55 DD, which is the smaller version, but it's a deeper diving one. Maybe it's a 50 DD. Anyways, it's a smaller rock crawler, but it dives to like 8 to 12. And I've really liked that. That's what I caught that 21 incher on Truman on too.
Nice.
I don't know, and I feel like that smaller is better earlier in the year. The other one that I really like is the 6 Cents makes that, is it a Crush?
Yeah.
But I like it in the silent version. I don't know why. I just feel like sometimes it's a little bit more subtle too. That one's my favorite for Palmy. It's a silver side with like a green back, and I've caught, consistently fished with that on Palmy. Yeah, those are probably my go-to: square bill and rock crawler. Micah, talk to us about Stockton. What do you think? How do you think it's going to fish?
It depends on the rain. Looks like we're going to be getting some rain. Stockton is the closest lake to where I live that is in the MOYAK Elite Series. Like, it's about 50 minutes to an hour from my house. And I think it's kind of criminally underrated in MOYAK just because we go there like the worst time of year for Stockton. Like that, like late July through December is just fire over there. Like if I go out there and don't catch 85 inches, it's kind of like not a good day. But when we go there, it's usually a grind. This year it's in June. I think last year was in July. So there's a chance that we could catch some of the big ones still, maybe a little bit shallower, and some more like females feeding up on the bluegill spawn and stuff that haven't moved out deep. There's a chance for that. So we might get into them a little bit better this year, but I don't know. I feel pretty good about Stockton. I have a few areas on there that, I think I have a chance to win there. Yeah. Last year I lost 85 inches worth of my best 5 or 8. Would have went for 85 inches. I lost them the first 30 minutes. Just couldn't keep anything pinned. Just unlucky stuff. So, and still got, I think, 10th place or something like that. Yeah, Stockton. I think Stockton's underrated. I think it fishes well. I've never really fished the lower end. The only places I've ever fished have been like both Suns Creek's arms, and then like the Greenfield area. It's kind of those two areas are really all I've ever fished.
$98 inches, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad it happened. The way it happened was not how I anticipated either. I only caught 5 fish over 14 and a half inches. Like everything else was 14 and a half and smaller. And they went for 98. So doesn't usually work that way.
I think what was the craziest thing for me, man, was when you said the first hour or two, you were catching fish. They were like 12, 13 inches. You weren't even on the board yet, and you were throwing them back. Bro, I didn't even have I had 3 bites all day. You threw away my limit, not even putting it on your board.
I knew.
Dude, when you said that, bro, I literally thought about selling my kayak. Like, this dude is throwing away fish that I was literally praying to God to catch before. Yeah, like, I was like, what am I doing? Like, what? I mean, if I was closer to a bridge, I could have went and just drop shotted spots off bridge.
Yeah.
But man, I was like, what? When you said that, dude, I was just like, you didn't even have any fish yet. Like you didn't even hadn't caught any fish yet. You're throwing back 13 inchers.
Well, I did. That first picture was a 17 incher.
Oh, my bad.
And I caught it like really early, like in my first couple casts. Like there were just fish busting on shad spawn. I threw a swim jig up there, and it was the first thing that hit. And I was like, oh, there must be sometimes in the shad spawn, you can find a group of 17, 18, 19s all just, going at it. But it was the only good one. They were all, 13 inches or smaller. And I was trying to make the best of my time while they were going after shad and just throwing back everything else. I mean, it was only like 3 or 4 fish probably that I did that with. But
that's a big fish there, dude.
It's at the 21 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the same exact spot that I snagged that carp last year. I've never caught a bass on any of the spots I caught a bass on in the tournament. Other than that 17, because I caught an 18 the day before in that same area doing the same thing. But
what's your favorite chatterbait, Micah?
Like brand?
Yep, brand, color, and weight. You're telling us all right now.
I mean, it's hard to beat the Evos with the price point and how comparable they are to the jackhammers. I mean, I'm not like a chatterbait guy. I'm trying to become one because I just keep getting beat by them. But yeah, at Stockton, I'll probably have a green pumpkin one tied on or a black and blue because of the watercolor. I don't like fishing real dirty water, so yeah, maybe not black and blue, maybe not like white and chartreuse, probably something close to green pumpkin. But that's probably my favorite is green pumpkin because it just kind of works everywhere in all clarities. Spunk shad has a trailer because it lets it hunt.
So did all the PayPal money go towards the vehicle, or what happened there?
Yeah, the vehicle repairs were like $1,600. So yeah, a good chunk of it went there.
Just your big bass pot?
Pretty much.
And your big bass hourly.
Well, I had a 20 1/4 that didn't win an hourly either.
Dang.
You poor thing.
I know. I thought there was an outside chance I could win with all 5. Is that 17? But no, it's Table Rock. It's not Twain. So 17s aren't going to cut it.
Let me ask you a question. I handed out just about every medal to the same table because all y'all are thick as thieves, y'all camping together and staying together and all that. I mean,
yeah, we were. Yeah.
Do you think that helps you guys? Like, do you guys really do you guys all lay it all on the table and kind of just talk about it? Or is it more just like y'all just kind of hang out and chill and do your own thing?
I mean, usually it's just smack talk. I mean, like Friday night, I let them know that I caught 2 over 20. And there's some other guys that caught some good ones too, and they knew where I was. Like, we all kind of know where we're at. We all kind of stay away from each other for the most part. There's honestly not a whole lot that's shared, or at least I haven't heard a lot that's shared. I know there's some lure swapping and stuff going on that I've eventually figured out about. But yeah, I think people might read into it and think that there's a lot of information going on, but I think it's not like one of those things where like the old guys are, taking the young guys under their wings and telling them all their secrets. They kind of just keep this young YouTuber watching guys like off at a distance and
at arm's length, huh?
Yeah, kind of more of competitors. Yeah.
I think that's really fun about our sport is a lot of guys can stay together and do all that, but we're all a little secretive, trying to keep our stuff to ourselves, but it's fun to get together and do that stuff. Man, Stockton seems like it's forever away, huh?
It does. But we got some cool stuff coming up. We got a yak pot coming up before that, June 3rd, I believe. Got some good lakes on there. I got about wrapping up the monthly. So we also got the Grand Slam coming up, which could be fun. So yeah, we got a lot of options. I know a lot of guys. I know it's not a MOYAK event, but there's a lot of guys going out on Saturday to the WMKFP 7345974 club. I don't know the name of it. It's Western Missouri thing. They're going to be out there at Indian Hills or Indian Creek, and it's kind of just an old school derby, $20 at the ramp. And the way that it make it sound like MOYAK's showing up pretty tough to that, and I've seen some guys sign up for that. That's out there that they're probably So I see that Tyler Alexander and some other people are showing up to go out there and maybe break some hearts. I don't know or maybe just go out there and get humbled by them. Them old boys. They stay out there for a reason. They got that place figured out. So it should be a slug out. I know Jared I think he put up like over 90 inches last year there. So it should be pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, it's a good group of guys. I wasn't able to go to one of their events last year, but I've been to their events in the past, and it's a good small group.
I guess you turn in your phone and you give it to them at the end, and like they take the pictures off of it. It's really small. So yeah,
it's chill. Zach goes to a lot of them too. He usually does pretty well at them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually like 15 or 20 kayaks.
But the yak pot's supposed to be really. The yak pot's going to be fun this year with a lot of different lakes on it. I think we're going to have a pretty good turnout in that. So.
Yeah, yak pot first week of June. We got the grassroots series that second Sunday. Stockton the following Saturday. We got another yak pot that third week, and then there's one other thing. What was it? There's another one on there. The river. I think the last weekend of the month we got a river event. So a lot of stuff coming up in June. Should be a busy weekend for the lakes and whatnot. So if you guys are getting on the water, try and be safe. Kind of pick your poison where you're going to go and whatnot. But Micah, anybody you want to shout out to? Say thank you to? Anything like that?
I guess shout out to my wife who's in a room or two over, lets me go out and do these things. I really don't have any sponsors to thank or whatever for my 10% discounts and such. So
ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Trey, man, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I don't, man. I just, it's always a pleasure, Micah. feel like a lot of times people can walk away from conversations with you learning a little more knowledgeable than what they were when they went into the conversation. So you had a lot of value. I appreciate that.
Thanks. I also don't do very well with compliments, so there you go.
Well, I guess we'll see you guys at Stockton. I'm sure we'll have a couple podcasts before then, but Stockton next Elite Series, got a Grassroots Series on a Sunday, and Yak Pot's coming up. So if you want to fish, there's definitely some events going on, and I guess we'll see you guys out there.
Sounds good.
See you on the leaderboard.